Hi, Brady. We're live.
Hey Jay, how you doing?
It's Thursday, and we've got so much sports.
There's always sports. Sports is a 24/7 business.
Oh, and that is Tara in our chat who did make that awesome intro for us yesterday.
Yes, thank you very much for that intro. That was really, really cool.
Oh, Chris, I would love to throw lots of people downstairs, but no, you're not supposed to say that.
You just think it, you don't do it.
Yeah.
Well, this is fun. Thursday Throwdown, first episode. Excited to get started and talking sports. So, do we want to start with the Rangers?
Yeah, Tara
They're probably
actually, by the way, also made your avatar.
Yes. Thank you very much, Tara. It's really, really cool. I like it.
Let's see. I am personally, I'm quite happy with the first season of the first month of the Rangers season so far.
I am more than ecstatic, considering where we've been the past 5-6 years.
Compared to what we have been, yeah, I can't complain one bit. Okay, maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Our bullpen still scares the ever-living piss out of me.
I'd say that was the biggest concern, coming into the season for the Rangers, which was your bullpen could be a big problem. My favorite player is Jose Leclerc, which is it's pain. It is very painful for me to watch what he's doing right now, because I've seen him be very, very great, and he's just I think something's off with his mechanics. Personally, I just think that there's something off, because if you look at where his fastballs are landing, they're all going high. So I think something's off, like with his release point or something along those lines. Obviously, I'm not a coach. I can't say that there is something off, but I've watched him enough to say that there probably is something off.
Yeah, I look at it as the guy can't seem to hit the damn strike zone.
No. And then when he throws some people call it a cut change, he calls it a slambio. When he throws that, that breaking ball, they're not fooled by it. You're supposed to be able to set it up and fool hitters, and he's just not able to do that right now.
No. And a lot of it is, again, when you can't hit the strike zone, they're not worried about. They're just going to let you throw to them and take their base. Unfortunately, I mean, he's got 3 blown saves to start the season?
I think something like that. And what's funny is his ERA is actually pretty good. It's because it's those inherited runners that he's getting. And I think, if when they've put him in clean innings, he's not been that bad. I think just when the runners get on base, his ERA is 2.70, which is honestly not horrible. But yeah, then you go to the blown saves, and of course, Baseball Reference does not have that stat. But there's been multiple times where you're sitting on the edge of your seat, and not in a good way, when Leclerc comes on the mound.
Yeah, it really worries me when, anybody but our starting pitchers are on the mound. Kind of scares the crap out of me.
I mean, yeah, there really isn't anybody in your. I mean, Will Smith is, with the exception of that Oakland game that I happened to be at, with the exception of that one home run, he's been pretty good this year. But
yeah.
Trying to find the blown save stat. And of course, nobody has it. But I think 3 sounds about right. He has not been good. But, and then what angers me about the Rangers bullpen more than anything is the fact that we have potential. Jonathan Hernandez has some of the nastiest stuff I've seen from a Rangers reliever in a while. When you throw a 98, 99 mile an hour sinker, you should be getting guys out consistently. That's something of Brock Burke. Burke's been pretty good as usual, but just nobody else scares you besides maybe Burke and Smith.
Well, we weren't exactly predicted to win a World Series this year.
No, and I think yeah, there it is. That the chart, you see pretty much all of his 4-seamers are going high.
What on earth is my computer spazzing for? Huh. That's cool. Why is that happening? There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
They're all high.
And you can't just rely on throwing nothing but a changeup.
Nope. Yeah, that slider I think that's weird. I think the slider and some of those cutters on the outer part of the plate, that's that Slambio, that cut change grip that he throws. It's kind of it's something that's kind of taken over. I know Kyle Hendricks has one, but Kyle Hendricks is a very notable tinkerer of the baseball. But and there's guys that have potential. Cole Reagans is throwing upper 90 stuff. It's just it doesn't matter if you throw 200 miles an hour if you can't get guys out. Ultimately, at the end of the day, especially for a relief pitcher.
Yeah, he's got to figure something out. We have to figure something out with our middle relievers as well. They've blown a couple of really good games, but our starting pitching has been fantastic,
which is
way better than we expected.
If we can just weather the DeGrom storm, we'll be fine. Which again, and of course, all of our fans, got all crying and worried about DeGrom. Look, we knew this was a risk in signing him. It's expected that he would probably make between 15 and 25 starts. Hopefully he can make at least 20 and you're happy with it. If he can make 20 to 25, I think you're happy with DeGrom season.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to see us playing fun baseball again.
Yes.
Like just in general, I'm just happy to see us playing fun baseball.
And then of course, as always, the Rangers have a great hitting core. And as Jesse, you have right there, American League Rookie of the Month. My pick for Rookie of the Year was Josh Young. It wasn't Gunnar Henderson or anyone from the Orioles or anyone else. My pick, and it's holding true so far, Josh Young has been absolutely outstanding so far, especially by rookie standards. So far through May 4th, I have the stats right here. 8 home runs, batting .275 with 24 RBIs, 325 OBP, a 541 slugging, which means an 866 OPS and a 138 OPS plus. He has been. I mean, if you get that from a veteran, that those are all star numbers right there.
And right there.
Yeah, right there. That's right. 6 home runs. Yeah, for the month, and he added 2 more. Was it yesterday? No, it was 2 days ago, Wednesday, and we still lost, of course. But you're going to have games like that.
No, we won that one. We lost last night.
No, because today's Thursday. Today's Thursday. I thought today was Friday.
So far we're 1-1 in that series with Arizona, which.
Yep. So we split that.
Actually, honestly, I'd say that's a fair test of where the Rangers are currently at.
Because the Diamondbacks are currently, I think, at the season today, they're a playoff team. I'm checking on it.
I just looked earlier, but I'm pretty sure they're like one of the better teams in baseball right now.
Yeah, they're not in first only because the Dodgers, and they're still only a couple games behind them, but they got a half game lead over the third wild card spot, so they're currently in second in the wild card race.
Fuka, my buddy, my pal. We've got.
But I mean, the one number you could, if you wanted to nitpick on Josh Young, would be his 38 strikeouts to only 7 walks. So he's not walking a ton. But again, he's a rookie. You're not expecting him to come in and walk a ton.
Yeah.
He's
having a really good season.
Yeah. I mean, it's expected from a rookie to have some rougher edges that you need to just kind of, some kinks to work out. That's very natural for, a rookie. And I know the stats may not show it. He was -1 defensive run saved, but a +3 total zone rating. So he's been a lot better defender than he was last season. In that little, month stint he had. He's been a really good third baseman defensively.
Well, we have gone from arguably the worst team in baseball to not. That's pretty big jump since last year. Adolis Garcia is looking like a monster this year with 8 home runs already. and 31 RBI. I am still mad. He should have had the team record.
Oh, that game. Everyone that was probably the most anticipated at bat with a pitcher on the mound ever.
And the worst part was it was on the runner. It was on the runner. He jogged. He jogged to third base. If he had gone full out, he'd have scored, and he'd have had that record. Was it 10? 10 RBIs in a game?
Yeah, because he tied Pudge's 9. I cannot remember the year, but it was they were in the Kingdom in Seattle. He went off. I think what's more amazing about Adolis' 9 RBIs was he didn't have a grand slam. I think Pudge did have one that game. Adolis just did it on.
Yeah. It was 91.
91. Okay, yeah, that makes
91.
sense.
Yeah, Pudge did it in 91. And
good old Pudge.
Yeah, we've had some great moments. Again, this year is going to be way better. I'm interested. We've got some good rookies.
Yeah, and I think
some
that's
good guys down in the.
Sorry, you were saying.
Oh, we've got some really good guys down in the farm system for once.
Well, yeah, it's nice to have a really good baseball team at the major league level and have several top 30 prospects that are all expected to be really good players. And I think, and going back to what you were saying about we were expecting to have a good year, maybe not a World Series contender year. And I think that's something our fans have forgotten already a month in, that just quit expecting us to just steamroll everybody. This isn't 2011. It's not 2010. It's not 2016. This is a team that probably should be a playoff team, barring injuries. Obviously, injuries are always the wild card in sports. But I just think some of our fans have gotten carried away with having a good first month, and then we lose a couple games, and it's a 162-game season. You can't expect to win them all, But going back to the prospects, Evan Carter has been tearing up AAA. I mean, he's been a monster through the first 20 games and down in Frisco.
My understanding is our pitching down there has been pretty damn good too.
So yeah, Leiter is having another off season, but I'm not worried about Jack Leiter, just because when you're when you're a top pick, when you are given a highly aggressive assignment, they sent him to AA. That you don't typically send anybody straight to AA. Usually.
Yes, Gilroy. Major League Baseball's 162 games.
Yep, 162 game season.
Was it starts April, ends in September?
Like the regular season?
Yeah.
So yeah, it usually goes March 30th or like 29th. It's usually like the last day or two in March, and then it goes until I think sometimes it goes the first a couple of days in October.
Yeah. Baseball's a pretty long season, which it makes it a little harder
to follow every game.
Yeah, I have some very unkind things to say about Bally Sports. That topic is for another day.
We could probably do an entire 2-hour episode on Bally Sports.
I, for one, look forward to their upcoming bankruptcy.
I think you're not the only one across this country that looks forward to bankruptcy. But yeah, to answer your question, yes. October 1st is the Rangers' final game. They're in Seattle. It's a Sunday. A week. Usually your usual off days are Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sometimes when Mondays, Thursdays are your typical off days. Thursday is the Rangers may play 1 or 2 games a month on Thursday, most months. But yeah, there's a couple weeks where you play full every day, no off days that particular week. Like I'm looking here, We have an off day here today on May 4th. The next Rangers off day is actually May the 18th. So they're about to play a bunch of games without rest.
Oh, we've just barely completed the first month of the season, and I mean we're 18-12, which is great.
It's awesome.
It is fantastic. It's the first time in years we've been above 500 a month into the season,
and in first place.
Yeah, we are in first place by a game over the Angels. But yeah, we're 30 games into the season.
And we're significantly better than any team we've fielded since 2016. Which, of course, starts with the man in the dugout hiring a 3-time Super Bowl, 3-time World Series winner, wrong sport, 3-time World Series winner, Bruce Bochy. I mean, that's his impact. The impact of a manager in baseball is not as vivid. It's not as, clear cut as it is in football, but it's there. There's definitely, he's trying to make, he's navigating this bullpen as best he can.
You know what, Gilroy? I understand. Brady, to put it in context, I don't know if you saw Gilroy's comments earlier. Gilroy's from the UK. So baseball's not really his thing. I think he said earlier rugby and some football.
Yeah, I saw rugby.
Motorsports. Yeah. Yeah,
I would say, cricket's probably their version of baseball, especially in Europe and Asia.
What in the hell? I didn't. Oh.
Which baseball kind of is derived from cricket, and then actually a British game, I believe, called Rounders in the 1800s, is the two games that are typically most associated with the origins of baseball. Because, there's recorded baseball games that I believe go back to Civil War era.
I cannot get into cricket. Never could, even when I lived overseas, couldn't get into cricket. It is so long. Yeah. And, if you try.
Yeah, Rounders. Yeah, that was a game that baseball took a lot from. And then that in cricket.
It can be hard for somebody who's just not a baseball fan to sit and watch an MLB game on TV.
Oh, I understand that. There's times where I get bored during a game, being serious, watching it on TV.
I am torn. On how I feel about the new rules to speed up the game. I don't like the idea that because somebody didn't reset in time, that could walk a game-winning run in. And it happened in the first week.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Their intended design has worked really well. Something me and my dad have noticed was when, me and him went opening day. And the game, it still felt like a full baseball game. Because that was one of our concerns with, limiting the play clock or, having a pitch clock was, is it still going to feel like baseball or is it just going to feel too rushed? And we both, noted it didn't feel rushed. It still felt like baseball, but you just look up at the clock and they've shaved 30 minutes off your day.
Without a doubt, it has definitely cut down the game times. My concern is something that we'll just have to wait till later to see, which is wear and tear on. It's wear and tear on the pitchers is what worries me.
Yeah, throwing that often, not having that time to, kind of, flex your arm and stretch it a little more before the next pitch. My big concern is we get to Game 7 of the World Series and you have a pitch clock violation that, completely alters the game. And now a team pretty much just lost on a pitch clock violation.
Yeah, and even Tara brings it up in the chat. Yeah, being at a live MLB game is such a different experience than watching on TV.
I actually would rather watch a baseball game in person and watch a football game on TV. I'm not a big fan of watching football games in person except high school, just because I see things better on the TV screen. In baseball, though, is the opposite. I see things better, obviously when I go to a game. And My friends can definitely attest to this. When I go to a game, I sit and I hyper focus on everything happening on the field because it allows you to scan everything. But in football, I prefer the ballpark atmosphere is still one of the calling cards of baseball.
I think with the NFL, it comes down to, can you afford seats good enough to truly enjoy the game? And when the answer is no, but I can afford to sit and enjoy it on my big screen TV in the comfort of my own home with beer and a pizza, we're good.
That costs significantly less than with the stadium. And the Rangers, like as a college kid, I've already gone to $2 hot dog nights because I can get tickets. I can get a ticket for what they give like a student discount ticket for $15. The most expensive thing is parking. Go get a soda and I can get 5 hot dogs for not much more money than I'd pay anywhere else, to eat dinner and sit and watch a baseball game. It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, I lived.
Oh, to answer your question, Tara, the reason they don't have a pitch count in the majors is because when you're in high school and you're young, you definitely don't want to have a kid, high school kid have Tommy John surgery or anything. So they want to ease it along. Plus, younger, still growing.
In college, more so, especially in Little League, they also have pitch day limitations.
Yeah.
You can't pitch within so many days. A lot of it is safety.
Yes.
For the player, young kids who are not developed skeletal muscularly.
Right.
It's a great way to destroy a rotator cuff. Is it the Lissenfranc? No.
No, Liz Frank, I thought was in your foot.
Yeah, it is. It's the part of your elbow you destroy that leads to Tommy John.
Your UCL, your ulcer collateral ligament, I believe what it's called. The UCL. Yeah, you don't. I mean, throwing. I think I read somewhere, and I can't remember where I read this, but it was throwing a 90-mile-per-hour fastball is double the amount of force that your UCL is actually built to take. So, just throwing 90 is considered completely something you should not be able to do. But with stretching and training and everything, they're able to do it for consistently over a long season. But still, they just don't want young kids going out there throwing 100 pitches because coaches, if you get a coach that cares more about winning than player safety, they'd have no problem trotting their best pitcher out every day and just destroying his arm.
Yeah. Now, Tara, as what you said for major league pitchers, these guys are fully physically developed as adults.
Yeah.
They have also had years to build and develop the muscles in the arm, the shoulder, and on top of that, the best of the best coaches, physical therapists, occupational therapists that they can possibly have, and doctors.
Yeah.
To make sure that their muscles are as strong as it can be to hold joints and ligaments from being able to tear, and it still happens on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, Tommy John is still a very regular thing that happens. It's just with the proper training, the risk is not as severe as it should be.
Yeah, and the recovery on it now is way better than it used to be.
Yeah, Tommy John, the guy that obviously originally had it and was the first test subject of it. I'm looking up his. I did not want to click on that. I think he missed pretty much 2 full seasons because he was 22 games into the 74 season, had it, didn't play in 75 and then played. Actually, no, he did play a full season in 76, but I think the recovery time was still a little bit more for him because he didn't return to form until 77. But even then, he still pitched 26 years and had Tommy John, had the surgery. And so it's actually always been my belief that he arguably already had a Hall of Fame career, but it's been me and my father's opinion that him and Dr. Frank Jobe, who did the surgery, who had the idea, should be put in the Hall of Fame simply for the amount of careers that they saved.
mess up their knees more than their bowling arms. You know, uh, it's no secret, Chris. I am a bowler, not cricket. With the motion of a cricket bowler, I would assume knees and the form that they throw that ball with, I would not be surprised to see people tear out their rotator cuffs.
Yeah, because I assume that the bowler is basically the pitcher.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because then they throw it like they wind their arms. I believe I've tried to watch some cricket games before.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's move on to the general first month of the MLB season so far. I think.
What do you think? Sorry, I need to cut you off there.
This is one of the most interesting stories in MLB right now.
Shohei.
I mean 500 strikeouts and 100 home runs as a hitter hasn't been done since Babe Ruth.
Nope.
Hasn't been done since Babe Ruth, and it is. What on earth? Oh,
in my opinion, with Shohei, it's going to be hard for him to still eclipse Ruth as the greatest player of all time. He is right now the greatest player naturally, ability at the game of all time, because nobody has ever been able to pitch and hit at the level he does. Ruth didn't really hit when he was a pitcher the first 5-6 years of his career. He was more of a pitcher that hit occasionally. Then he became a full-time hitter when he was traded to New York. So, but Ohtani's doing it at the same time, which makes it the most impressive thing ever done in baseball history from one player.
It's easily the most impressive thing.
Babe Ruth.
Yes, Gilroy. I hope you've heard of Babe Ruth.
Actually, he was a global superstar.
Where is it? Oh, come on. I had it open. Nope.
There was a joke told by Bob Costas that was an Englishman and an American. I'm probably going to tell it wrong, but an Englishman and an American were getting into an argument, and they started to get heated. And the American goes, "Well, screw the Queen." Well, screw the King. And the British man was very taken aback and says, "You know what? Well, screw Babe Ruth." That was the American equivalent. He didn't say the president. He just said Babe Ruth.
Well, it had to be him or Elvis if you're talking about the King.
Yeah.
This one, too. The first team in history with 23 or more losses before May. That is a new level of bad.
It is quite possible that the A's could eclipse the worst record in MLB history, which was infamously set by the 1899 Cleveland Spiders, who went 20-134. But that was
not gonna happen. We're gonna blow it. Yeah. We're gonna blow at least 4 games to them this year. We could just lose a series to the Reds.
I mean, they could lose. They could only win 19 games. You never know. But I would say that their best chance to beat the modern day record, which is 1901 to present, would be the Philadelphia A's, who won 36 games. But if you want to go for the 162 game season, it's the 03 Tigers, who excuse me. Sorry. It's the 1962 Mets, who won 40 games. They went 40 and 120.
Coming into the year, I really did not think Oakland was that bad.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked by how horrible they are.
I tell you, the one thing I'm interested to see is who's going to be their all-star. Because every team is represented. So who is going to be? I'm looking at their roster right now to see
the guy who takes out the trash, the mascot. Hey, Ed.
Oh no, Esteury Ruiz, their center fielder, he's having a decent season.
Okay.
He probably could get it. If it's not, I mean, do we even have it? They have, oh my God, they have no pitchers that aren't any good. Nope. Maybe Zach Jackson, their relief pitcher through 15 games, has a 2.57 ERA. It'll probably be him. Him or Esteury Ruiz. It's just, the A's are pretty bad.
Yeah, well, I just don't have sympathy for a division rival being bad.
No, I don't. I have sympathy for their fans. I really do feel bad for their fans.
I get that. I felt bad for Cubs fans for a number of years. It had to suck to live with 100+ years of disappointment.
Oh God. But I think I feel bad for the A's fans because ownership sandbagged. I am very wholeheartedly convinced that ownership has intentionally fielded a bad team over the past couple seasons, intentionally driving down fan interest so that way they can now move to Vegas, which they've already planned and announced. That's why I feel bad for them.
We can pontificate allegedly that is what they are doing. I don't think so. It was once famously said that Dallas is not a baseball town.
Yes, Josh Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm sure you remember that quote.
He's right, but
the fact is, LA is not a sports town. They're a Lakers town and nothing else. They have never been able to keep multiple teams. They've never been able to keep multiple football teams because the city and its fans don't support the organizations.
Wait, LA or Oakland?
Same.
Don't
tell people in LA that, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
They can't support it. The fan base doesn't support it.
A's fans are good fans. They really are. They have a lot. If you look at the 2019 wildcard game, they packed that stadium.
They did, but I saw a picture of their stadium from yesterday that looked like it was smaller than your high school graduation class.
Well, I wouldn't want to go either.
I'm pretty sure it was.
I wouldn't want to go either. I don't blame them for not wanting to go. I blame ownership for not paying any players intentionally. I mean, he's one of the wealthiest owners in the MLB, and he takes full advantage. He does what the Pirates owner does. And Bob Nutting, who, obviously we can make fun of his name. He's, the Pirates owner, and he finally is starting to spend a little bit of money, but he's really not spending that much. The A's owner has intentionally not spent money, not kept players when he easily could, takes advantage of the revenue sharing program. So he gets a lot of money personally, and then is now about to move his team to Vegas, where I believe the second they get to Vegas, they're going to start paying free agents. They're going to become one of the highest. They're going to become one of the highest payroll teams in the league immediately.
You kind of have to. It happens that way every time a team moves, though. Now, you might know off the top of your head, I do not know the last time I saw an MLB team move.
The Nationals. When the Expos relocated to Washington.
You're right.
In 2005. I believe.
And I felt bad for the Expos. I felt bad for their fans.
Right? I'm not wrong. No, that would be the last team. Because Montreal fans are great fans, but they played in probably the worst sports stadium to ever be built, Olympic Stadium.
True. I still feel bad for Seattle Supersonics fans personally. They got screwed.
Unfortunately, when teams move, the fans tend to get screwed. Unfortunately, then there's not much you can do about that.
It does happen that way.
Except not move, but
I can tell you, I actually don't know many Oilers fans who translated their fandom over to the Titans when that happened.
Well, no, most of the time the fans don't translate. Like if you were to look at in New York when the Dodgers moved from Brooklyn to LA, a lot of those fans were like, well, hell, I'm not going to be a Yankees fan. So they didn't have baseball till the Mets came in, and they all became. That's why the Mets are such a big team. Was all the Giants when they moved, and when the Giants and the Dodgers moved, all of those New York fans, you combine two big fan bases already and move them into the Mets.
Well, I think we can all agree that, well, screw the Yankees.
Screw the Yankees, yes.
Yeah.
I hate it that I've had to defend them to baseball fans on several occasions. I've had to defend the Yankees, but yeah, not great fans. Always had good ownership that was willing to spend. I mean, they were. I mean, when I say good ownership, I mean willing to spend, not the most stand-up people. George Steinbrenner, the guy who paid a private investigator to like stake out one of his players. I believe that player was Dave Winfield. Actually,
well, to be fair, he also was not afraid to pay his players off the books.
Oh, of course not.
Mind you, baseball doesn't exactly have a luxury cap, which is to me one of the greatest things about baseball is the way that the free agency is done, the pay is handled, and their players get a bigger piece of the pie than any other professional sport.
Well, yeah, because the contracts are all fully guaranteed, and there's no salary cap, and there will never be a salary cap. I don't care how much the owners want it; the players will never go for it. If it wasn't, as my dad told me, if it wasn't going to happen, and you'll remember this, if it wasn't going to happen in '94 when they had the big strike, it's never going to happen.
True. I think the big point is, like you said, the fully guaranteed contracts, but there's a catch to that. You can get away with the fully guaranteed contracts in a sport where if a catastrophic injury happens, that money comes off the books.
Right.
You couldn't do that in the NFL. I mean, can you imagine? Let's be real. I love Dak Prescott. I love the Cowboys. But can you imagine with no salary cap what Jerry Jones would spend to get Patrick Mahomes away from the Chiefs?
I have no doubt that if the NFL did not have a salary cap, that Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft would be the two biggest spenders in the league by a wide margin. I think Jerry would actually still outspend Kraft because I think he has more capital because it's the Cowboys. But I think they would be the two biggest spenders in the league. And your son is nodding his head in agreement with me.
I think the only team that would come close,
the Rams,
would be the first team to do something as stupid as offer partial ownership to a player.
The Giants would be good. I mean, the big markets.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
we have seen that. We have seen somebody attempt that in baseball.
Yeah. It's just, if there wasn't a salary cap, Jerry Jones would have no problem just going over the luxury tax every single year, paying it off, and winning a Super Bowl, being true contenders every single season.
Yeah.
But that's why, football, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if football will start going towards the more guaranteed. I mean, we've already seen it with teams and players trending with their contracts being signed. We're seeing higher,
but
it's really not so much.
But one of the first players to sign a fully guaranteed contract,
Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
He was
immediately broke his collarbone.
Yeah.
And
I don't think they'll ever have fully guaranteed contracts in football. It's too much of a physical contact sport for you to do it, for the owners to agree to it. But that's become the big thing in football, is not so much how much is the final dollar amount, but how much is the guaranteed amount? How much is the amount I'm actually getting? And owners
it's a fair argument.
Yeah, it is.
It's a fair argument to the players. On the other hand, I'm not handing you $100 million guaranteed over 5 years when the average NFL career lasts 2 years.
Yeah.
You're going to get hurt. I'm stuck with that money on my books, and I have now screwed my team because I don't have the money to go out and hire another caliber player. Something's got to give in that aspect. If they want guaranteed money, it can't be guaranteed if they're not playing.
Right. There needs to be, maybe they create something special for football where they can remedy that if they decide to do something along those lines to try and fix that potential problem. Because I played football for one season and still have slight aches and pains that came from football, and so does Seth. He has aches and pains. Everyone, even playing 1 year in high school, gives you those aches and pains of football. And I can't imagine playing this for, a couple Pee Wee years, junior high, 4 years in high school, 4 years in college, then a couple years in the NFL. I mean, your body's going to be beaten.
It is. I believe. I mean, that covers baseball.
We did baseball. I was going to say the big surprise this year, speaking of the Pirates, is they're in first by a game and a half over the Brewers, 20-12. It's great. I love what they've been doing because they have good young players, and it sucks that O'Neal Cruz got hurt because that guy is going to be so much fun to watch. So much fun to watch. You don't get sick. He's a guy that has the strongest throwing arm of any shortstop, can hit a ball as far as any shortstop can, and is 6'7", can run. I mean, he's just a fantastic player, and it sucks that he broke his ankle.
Well, again, we're a month into the season. We got a lot of baseball to go, and I look forward to eventually being able to watch it. Screw you, Bally Sports.
Say that what we have, me and my dad, is we have Fubo because they're like the last streaming service that has Bally.
No.
Is there one more?
AT&T.
AT&T.
Yep, AT&T is the only cable network with streaming for Bally.
Now, I will say, in defense of Rangers fans, at least for those of you Rangers fans that cannot watch on Bally, we do have arguably the best radio crew in the majors.
Oh, without a doubt. I love listening to those games on 105.3 The Fan.
Even without Nadell, who's obviously a Hall of Famer, Hicks and Sandler are great. And is it Mike Peasley? Is he the new guy they've kind of added?
He is, and you know what? I really hope the best for Eric Nadell. The man is an absolute legend. His voice is iconic for the Rangers, and the man, he's struggling with mental health issues. I get it, and I understand, and I wish nothing but the best and hope him a speedy recovery.
Certainly. And, I think Rangers fans, if I was, obviously, I don't say this is selfish want, but I'm hoping if we do get the playoffs, that'd be awesome if he is able to return by the playoffs and call those playoff games. That would be, I think, a great thing for Rangers fans to be able to hear him again call. And, maybe it won't be the same as the greatest call in Rangers history, strike three called. The Rangers are going to the World Series when Philly struck out A-Rod.
I loved that call.
Oh, it's great. I mean, this is how good Nadell was. My dad would bring a little transistor radio to the games that we would go to, and he would listen to him at the game.
Wrong button. We have NBA playoffs.
You see, with the Mavs, there's not much going on right now.
No. I mean,
if you look at, we could. Kyrie, there was a report the Lakers aren't looking at him, but obviously it was explained. Why would they say in public, "Oh yeah, we're looking at Kyrie" when their team is still in the playoffs? Even the buses aren't that stupid.
I don't know about that one, but they've done dumber throughout their history, at least since Dad died. The next season or two should be fun, but the Mavs are going to have to accept that without spending big money, they are unfortunately wasting Luka Doncic.
Aren't we already spending a lot of money? Am I wrong on that?
They're trying. The Mavs are trying, and they're just not getting the free agents. But at the same time, they haven't been doing what they need to do to try to rebuild the team internally while doing that.
Well, unfortunately, the Kristaps Porzingis trade set us back heavily because we traded significant draft capital for him.
Yep. Yeah, the Spurs are a little interesting. They have a lot of really good young talent, and I'm looking forward to the NBA draft.
Because of Wemby. If you guys get the whoever gets the number 1 overall pick is getting probably he's the most he's the most hyped prospect since Zion, and before that I couldn't tell you, but he's a very hyped prospect, Victor Wembanyama.
and that'll be June 22nd. We got the playoffs going on. I mean, Miami, New York are tied one. Actually, Miami, New York are tied
Yeah.
at 1.
Yeah, the Knicks came back in game 2. They were tied up.
Boston, Philly is tied at 1. Go Boston.
Yeah, I'll root for Boston on that one, mostly because I don't like Philadelphia.
Absolutely
And
don't like
then
Philadelphia.
Lakers Warriors. It's fun watching Lakers Warriors because for my generation, we've grown up on Curry and LeBron, so it's kind of cool getting to see them go at it one more time. You know,
Um,
I mean, just for people of my age that grew up with it. No, go Eagles. The Eagles can. If the Eagles were to move franchise, like move locations, I would be very happy that Philadelphia would be losing their team.
I still would not pull for the Eagles.
No, and under no, I would cheer for literally, and this includes Giants and Commanders. I'd root for any other team besides the Eagles.
Yeah. Denver's up 2-0 on Phoenix, and then I know I mentioned it earlier that Bucks fired their head coach.
Yes, which is weird because didn't they win the championship like 2 years ago?
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't make much sense. The way usually when you win a championship, you usually get 3-4 more years minimum. Even if you lose all 3 or 4 of those years, you still have those years because you won a championship. But
you get some grace period for winning a title.
Apparently, this guy had 2 years.
Not long before we went on air, actually, Lance Blanks played for the Pistons and the Timberwolves, worked as an NBA exec with the Suns, the Clippers, and the Cavaliers. ESPN was reporting he passed away today at 56.
Oh, man.
Yeah, 56 years old. Here in Dallas, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been a scout and a front office exec.
So basically, just a basketball lifer.
I mean, he was drafted in '90. He's inducted into the Texas Longhorns Hall of Fame.
That's cool.
And he's been working as an analyst for the Longhorn Network since 2020.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, yeah, with the playoffs right now, I would be hoping that, obviously I'd like to see Boston win it because they have a really good young core that is, you don't want to waste. I don't want to see Phoenix win it. The only reason I want to see Phoenix win is me and my dad have a pact that we made that whoever has never won a championship, unless it's like a rival, which all of ours except the Mariners, even with the Mariners, I would actually root for the Mariners in a World Series just because,
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, they haven't won.
They haven't won one.
There's only been 2 teams I ever wanted to lose that had never won, and that was the Eagles and the Astros. And of course, both of them won that year, which really sucked. But
I was forced to root for the Astros. I believe weren't they playing the Yankees?
No, well, that was the LCS.
Yeah.
Even then, I was rooting for the Yankees.
Nope. No, I would root for anyone over the Yankees.
I'll root for anyone over the Astros. I cannot stand. And then I've had people, and this is that 2017 World Series. Someone was like, "How could you not root for the Astros and root for the Dodgers?" Because they had Hurricane Harvey, and I was like, "That sucks," but it has nothing to do with their baseball team. The MLB wanted to create a rivalry between Rangers and Astros. They succeeded. I hate the Astros.
The Astros do kind of have a fair argument that the Rangers not swapping the home and away was kind of crappy. The organization, I do understand. We were pushing for a playoff. We were pushing for a playoff spot at the time,
right?
But it was still a pretty garbage thing from the organization not to go. Yeah, don't worry about it. You guys come up here, and we'll swap our home and away while you guys are dealing with Harvey.
Right. But back to the NBA here. So Phoenix winning, they never won, so cool. But neither have the Nuggets, if my sports history brain serves me correct. So either one of those teams would be fine with me. I wouldn't mind. Obviously, the Warriors and the Lakers, I don't want to see the Lakers win because I don't want LeBron fans to have another thing. I don't want LeBron fans to have him get another ring. Oh, it would make me sick.
Honestly, I don't even argue with them anymore. You believe what you want to believe, buddy. LeBron couldn't get the job done, so he went around to multiple cities to try to build a championship team.
Yep. I mean, I imagine in the sorry. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
I was gonna say, I imagine in the debate you're on the MJ side.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, like, see, you watched him. I didn't
did.
have that luxury.
I did watch Jordan play. Now, don't get me wrong. I have criticisms of Jordan as well.
Oh yeah,
Jordan got a lot of the same treatment. That is why I today no longer really watch the NBA much. Jordan got away with everything because he was a superstar.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
LeBron, Kyrie, most of today's superstars do the same thing. They absolutely get away with every little call and get every little ticky-tack call that goes their way. And to me, it's hard to sit and watch an NBA game when the refs have made themselves such a big part of the game.
Yeah, and that's what I've told, basketball fans why I have stuck to football. And I'm not saying football and baseball don't have their problems with refs and umpires. They certainly do. But it's not as nauseating as it is with the NBA. At least with the NFL, the crews themselves are consistent within their calls most of the time. You could look up their tendencies and they will stay to their tendencies most of the time. The problem I have is that in the NBA, yeah, it's based on your status as a player. It's just I don't watch it. I'll watch the finals and I'll keep up with the playoffs so I can come on here and talk about it and go on my show and my other show and talk about it and stuff. But I don't keep up with it because I just love it. It's just difficult to watch. It's just it's not that fun to have in the background. Sure, the last like 5 minutes of a close game in basketball is still as electric as ever. And basketball atmospheres are amazing, especially like the Kings this year was absolutely outstanding atmosphere. But it's just not as fun to watch because like you said, the refs have made themselves such a huge part of the game. And they give the stars, at least with football, the only people that refs really give the baby treatment to is the quarterbacks.
Yep. And now I agree with Tara. Yeah, we haven't seen anything compared to the Bird Magic rivalry.
My generation would be Curry LeBron.
No, and even that's not close because they don't face off all that often.
No, and also they went to 4 straight NBA finals and Curry and them won 3. And we're 1 game away of winning a 4th for just 4 games sweeping the Cavs. I think if the Cavs had taken one of the other ones, I think people would look at it more on the Magic Bird side in terms of legacy. But because the Warriors dominated the entire time, it was just kind of like, eh.
And you know what? Statistically speaking, that was not the most dominant playoff performance of all time, or a finals performance. That belonged to the Spurs dismantling. I believe it was not Orlando.
Was that the year that the Knicks went to the finals?
No. That was the year that Tim Duncan and the Spurs beat LeBron.
Oh, the Heat.
Yeah, it was Miami. Thank you, not Orlando.
Or was it when they played the Cavs? Because I think that was who they played when LeBron went to his first finals and they got swept by. I think that was I think that's what you're thinking of.
Because that was one of them.
That was one of them.
That was one of them. But the last time the Spurs beat the Heat, statistically speaking, it was the most one-sided dismantling in NBA Finals history. And really, the Spurs were one, and I love Manu Ginobili to death. They were one bad Ginobili pass away from beating LeBron in Miami 3 times.
I think what knocks LeBron in the eyes of the fans is the fact that Jordan went to 6 NBA finals, won all 6 of them, and never went to a game 7. LeBron, I believe, is like 4 and 6. So he's been to more finals, but to me, I'll take the player. I don't care if you're in the 20 finals. If you never win one, it does not matter. Just ask the Buffalo Bills. Just ask the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, poor Bills fans.
I mean, just ask the
Yeah.
Bills. It doesn't matter how many times you go. I mean, yes, we look back on those teams and go, wow, 4 straight, really great. It's awesome. But you won't be an all-time great team if you don't win one.
My argument for MJ over LeBron is simple. You never saw a single game where you looked up and MJ was on the other end of the court, not even attempting to play defense. Oh,
Right.
LeBron's chase down blocks that he's done through his career a couple of times a season are one thing. Jordan was a top tier defensive player through his entire career. He gave full effort all game, every game he played in. And LeBron, I think LeBron could very easily be more talented, but he doesn't have near the drive or the passion that Jordan showed in every aspect of his game. He doesn't even have the drive and the passion that Kobe showed. And I am not a Kobe Bryant fan.
If you want to go to Jordan, I looked up right now. He's a 10-time scoring champ. He's a defensive player of the year in 87, 88. He's a 9-time all defensive team. That's the big one. Because in basketball, it's kind of hard to equate good defense. To my knowledge, there's not too many good, maybe besides like steals and blocks. There's not too many good statistics for defense, but showing that. So I look for all defense, all defense teams, defensive player of the year, that kind of like how you're viewed by your peers. That kind of speaks more. I mean, 9-time all defensive team. Jordan was, a great defensive player. People forget that. It's actually something that one of my favorite clips of Ryan Hollins on ESPN being an absolute moron when it comes to basketball. When he and Shaq were talking about, I think it was the Warriors team that beat the Bulls record, and it was that Bulls team they beat. I think it was the '96 Bulls versus that Warriors team. Who would win? And Hollins was like, "Oh, the Warriors would run circles," and Shaq was like, "Bro,
Nope.
Do you realize that all 5 of the starting players on the Bulls can guard all 5?" Because he's like, Jordan, Ron Harper can take Curry, no problem. Jordan can take Clay, no problem. Rodman is going to go up against Draymond Green because they're very similar, and he knows how to beat him. I mean, Pippen can go up against Durant and lock him down. I mean, the Bulls would wipe the floor with the Warriors teams. I think the Warriors would be able to shoot, but that's how they'd have to score with those long threes because they would not let anything inside. The Bulls wouldn't. But also, Jordan has been benefited by playing in this era of basketball.
You mean LeBron?
LeBron. I'm sorry, LeBron.
Yeah.
LeBron.
I agree with that. I think the big difference there is if you took Jordan and put him in today's NBA, he'd still be the best player in the NBA. If you put LeBron in the NBA of the 80s and early 90s, he would get beat. Rasheed Wallace would flatten him.
No, he would. So I think LeBron would have to get tougher. LeBron is probably the greatest physical. When I say talent-wise, he's probably, I put him number 1. Talent. Pure talent. But MJ, it's kind of like with football. Tom Brady is not the greatest player of all time, but he's still the GOAT. There's a difference, you know what I mean? There's a difference between the two, and MJ is the GOAT. LeBron is the greatest pure player of all time, without a doubt. His size, speed, athleticism, all of it. So I think he could play in that era. I think he would have to develop that era's mentality, though, and obviously right now he doesn't have that. His body could play. His body could play in that era, no problem.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree. Physically, he definitely could do it. I don't know if he has the toughness to handle, dude, the bad boy Pistons.
Oh my, they'd kill him.
God, those dudes were rough.
Rodman and Dumars and Thomas and Lambeer. I mean, these guys. Yeah, the bad boys would knock you out. They would. They. The Jordan rules. Anytime Jordan comes in the paint, knock him down. And I think it was Lambeer.
It's the only way you were going to stop him from scoring, and even then, you weren't going to stop him.
I can't remember who was on that team, that always said his motto was, if you're going to get a foul, at least hit the guy hard. Don't get a cheap foul. If you're going to hit him, hit him.
Yep, make it count.
And that's something that, I think Shaq has time and time again brought up, that it depends on the era. I mean, Jordan didn't, people want to point out that Jordan didn't score as many threes or this or that. It's because he didn't shoot threes. Go look, if you go watch The Last Dance docuseries, which is a great docuseries, and look at the final scores. Most of the time each team was under 100 points or just a little bit over. Well, nowadays, if a team scores under 100 points, they had a horrible game.
Jordan didn't have to shoot threes.
Nope.
He had 3-point shooters on the team. That wasn't his role. He didn't have to do that. Now, mind you, more and more teams, and this is it's funny to me how much stuff Steve Kerr and Golden State gets credited with that originated with the man who taught Steve Kerr, which is Popovich, who, when it comes to coaching, is the undisputed GOAT.
Oh yeah, Popovich is the greatest coach of all time. The only two is Pat Riley or Phil Jackson. The only two potentially in the argument with him.
And I can't count Phil Jackson in there because Jackson didn't coach unless he had a team he knew that was going to win. He had Jordan's Bulls,
right,
and Kobe's Lakers. Now, the funny thing is about the argument you said a second ago, Shaq's greatness is a product of the era he played in. Shaq would not succeed in today's NBA.
No, he would be getting called for fouls and charges and technicals.
Well, 3 in the key was not a thing. Shaq was able at the time to just plant his ass in the paint and just stand there. And I think you can't do that anymore.
No, and I think Kobe was right when he said if Shaq had Kobe's or Michael's work ethic, Shaq would be the undisputed greatest player of all time. He'd be greater than Jordan, greater than LeBron. He'd be the greatest of all time if he had that work ethic.
Yeah.
But he just didn't.
Yep.
He's still the most dominant player of all time. With the only, in my opinion, the only person that can get in that argument would be Wilt Chamberlain. But just based on pure dominance, Shaq is the best in that department.
Shaq and Wilt are very similar in that aspect. They were, a lot of their greatness was a product of the time they played in. Like Wilt was really one of the first 7-footers.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? What else do we have? I mean, there's not much going on in the NBA other than the playoffs.
No. If you want to do the NFL and the draft,
we're going to jump a little bit because this game is starting right now, and this is Tara's topic right here.
Stars.
This is Tara's topic. Yes, the Stars, the NHL playoffs are going on.
Can we take a game 1, please? Can we not lose game 1 every single time, but both times now? It's annoying.
Tara will unmute herself in a minute. Panthers Maple Leafs are 3-2 starting the third period.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm getting hockey up. Yep.
How about that one?
How about we got? If you're going to talk about hockey, though, you got to start with the Bruins. Oh, the Bruins. 65 wins, the greatest regular season team in NHL history. Bounced in the first round by a hockey team from Florida, not named the Lightning.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
The Florida
That's
Panthers knocked them out.
That's
Oh,
embarrassing.
and the Bruins had a 3-1 lead. The Bruins blew a 3-1 lead to the Panthers and lost in overtime. This was Sunday.
Yeah, I see that. Devils Hurricanes.
Yeah, the Devils. They beat the Rangers, which was a very kind of lull moment for New York fans there because the Rangers traded for Patrick Kane, I believe, if my memory should have been correct there for just a couple months ago, and they were expected to make a huge run, and the Devils knocked them out in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so funny.
And then the Devils lost the first game of the second round, 5-1 at that.
Well, I mean, the Hurricanes are a good team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oilers Golden Knights. Wow, 4-6. Somebody couldn't. Nobody played defense in that game.
Apparently not. And then we got Stars Kraken. I'd like to win a game one, but hey, we dropped game one of the Wild, and it worked out for us.
I'd like to win.
Me too.
I'd like to win. That would be nice.
This is kind of one of those, we got to win game two now because you do not want to go down 2-0 to the Seattle. You don't want the Seattle going on just a miracle run.
I just have such a hard time taking a team called the Kraken seriously. I really do.
I think it's a badass name. The Seattle Kraken.
Oh, wait.
That sounds.
Tara's
cool.
there.
I hear her. Slightly.
I think it's better than what was it going to be? The Seattle
Hold on. Hold on,
like
Tara.
Really low volume. I can hear her, but not.
All right. Say something, Tara.
Testing.
Say again.
Testing. Can you hear me now?
One more time. Nope, that doesn't work.
Oh.
I can hear you, but you're just barely there.
Let's see if we can play with the microphone.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but to me, the Kraken it's just a joke of a name.
I think it's a cool name.
I can't take it seriously.
The Seattle Kraken. It's just, I think it's cool. Hey, it could have been worse. To throw in a fun baseball reference, they could have called them the Seattle Pilots.
Well, they could have ended up with a team name like Commanders.
We can all laugh at the Commanders.
Yeah. And I'm sure we will most of the season. Oh, wait a minute. The Guardians. Yeah, that's another horrible team name. The Cleveland Guardians.
I know people don't like this animal. Or, I mean, technically arachnid. I still think it should have been the Cleveland Spiders. It's historical. It works. It's definitely a different name. It's interesting. It should have been the Cleveland. Okay, it really should be the Cleveland Indians. But if you're going to change it, it should be the Cleveland Spiders. And they royally screwed up that process. They made it the Guardians. It's just so stupid.
It's not like Cleveland is known for a whole lot of things.
It's just you had, and Washington, the Commanders is worse than the Guardians. The Commanders, really, that was the best you could come up with. The Commanders,
especially for a team that's historically been pretty garbage. What are you commanding? Nothing, because you're losers.
They're the Commies.
Oops, my bad. That was out loud. Oh wait, no, I don't feel bad.
Tara, they've had some
we
good
can
seasons.
hear you try to talk, but you're awfully quiet when you do.
What? Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
I can fix things.
There we go. Now, yes, hockey is Tara's sport.
Hockey is Tara's sport. It's my love. I have always loved it.
Yeah,
and Steph and James, I took them to their first hockey game, as a matter of fact.
She did.
I assume you're a Stars fan?
No, actually, I'm not.
Okay. What's your team?
I do like, I just like hockey. I love all the teams. Okay. So I just kind of keep up with all of them. But I will throw in that I don't think Pavelski should be playing tonight, even though he is.
I want to see him play. I mean, you had what? He had 4 goals when Tuesday?
Yeah, but if he had a concussion Tuesday, then does he really need to be playing tonight?
Yes, but you see, he really wants that ring. He may have had concussions, but he had a concussion, a really bad concussion. But when you want to win, you're not worried about that.
Well, this is true because all the best players always say that they'll play with broken bones and was it who was it that played with like a broken foot and a broken hand one year when they won?
I don't know about hockey. I know in football, Jack Youngblood played with a broken leg. And there's been several instances where guys played with torn ligaments in their knees in the Super Bowl. I think Gronkowski, I don't think he had a broken ankle, but he had something with his ankle one year and he played on it. I mean, when you're going for a championship, you will play through practically anything.
Yeah, you will. I love hockey in the fact that you never get to hear what the actual injuries are.
Yeah,
that's my favorite thing about hockey.
I've noticed that they'll be like, he's injured. Well, what's wrong with him? That's classified.
He has a body injury.
Yeah, he's injured somewhere on his persons.
You know what? Gilroy brings this up. The Cardiff Devils. I tell you, just earlier today, I learned that they play hockey in the UK.
I'm not surprised.
I had no idea. Yes, that the UK has their own hockey league.
I'm not surprised. I mean, it was one of the reasons why hockey was hard to get into because I can't pronounce 75% of the league's name because a lot of them are European.
Most of the best players are European.
I'm like, I can't. I mean, hell, I thought Tyler Sagan's name. I thought it was Seguin. I'm from Texas. I thought it, Seguin is. I didn't know it was Sagan.
I didn't either, honestly. Had no idea.
And that's really bad because isn't he from like Minnesota, I think?
Something like that.
Michigan. Like he's from the United States. He's not a European player. He's from the US.
Say at least with baseball, the baseball names, a lot of them, are Latin players, but at least their names I can understand. Most of them. Yeah, I would say I got into hockey a couple years ago.
Used to Latin names.
Yeah, I'm still learning hockey. I think I got into it like 2018, 2019, and then I really got into it when the Stars were on that 2020, bubble run when we went to the Cup. So I'm still learning players on other teams.
This is the only year that I actually have not kept up with Seattle. So I was so disappointed with the name of Seattle. We're going back to the Kraken because I don't like that name.
I think it works.
My vote was for the Sockeyes. That was the original team.
The Sockeyes?
It's a fish.
That was actually. It's a fish, and it's a Seattle fish, and it's.
I did not know what that was. Yeah.
It's a type of salmon.
See, I think salmon's better than that. Say the Seattle Salmon. There you go. There's there's a new hockey team, the Seattle Salmon. I do like Kraken. It's better than Commanders or Guardians, certainly. My God.
Oh, definitely.
The logo at least looks cool. The S with the little I.
That's true. The logo is pretty damn cool.
And I like the colors. I was in Seattle last summer, and there was Kraken stuff all over the place. So I did like the look. It's just, the names. I like the name personally, but I can understand if people wouldn't like it.
I am glad that Seattle actually got a team because that's one place that actually deserves a team. I have to say I was disappointed that it went to Vegas first before Seattle because they were in the running when Vegas got their expansion team. But I love the Golden Knights. I was so happy that Flowers went there and he's made it his home. And I've watched the Knights and kept up with them, and they had the golden run, making it all the way to the finals.
Hey, I'm happy we got their coach. Yeah, it was their first year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like their coach personally. DeBoer done a great job with my team.
I don't know. I'm quite happy to see the Stars had a hell of a good season.
Oh, God.
Yeah. No. Don't worry. That's how I feel. We're in Dallas. We get ice like once every 5 years, and nobody here knows what to do with it. What the hell are we doing playing hockey?
Well,
yeah.
No, that's still not as weird as Arizona having a team.
Well, but Arizona's about to lose their team.
Are the Coyotes leaving?
Well, the city's pushing them out, so they've already lost their arena, and they're going to have to move arenas. So, yeah, I mean they're trying. Phoenix is doing everything they can to push them out.
Well, I think because Phoenix wants to push, the Suns are getting really good, and the Diamondbacks are getting really good right now. Both teams. So the Coyotes are kind of, and to my knowledge, the Coyotes have not been good.
Not in a very long time. If ever they have been good. But I will say that Dallas has I've said it for years, Jay. I don't know if I've ever told you. I've told a friend of mine that's a Stars fan. If they would let me run the damn team, they have always picked up players that were good in that season, and they've never put depth into their chart, into their into the Texas team, the Austin team, and is it still the Stars? Texas Stars?
The Stars. That's like our AHL team. Yeah.
Into the AHL team. But they've actually put depth into their kids now. And so a lot of these kids that are coming up that are in their early 20s, what's this one kid's name?
Wyatt Johnston.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a good season for us.
The one I was thinking of was Jason Robertson.
Robo.
This kid is freaking good.
Hasn't been effective in the playoffs yet, but
well, I mean, he's only a -1. He's got what 2 goals, 5 assists, so he's got 7 points. A -1. That's not freaking bad in one game.
No.
Well, 7 games. So
and then we got some. Oh, sorry, that was loud. Yeah, 7 games. Yeah, we have some really good minor leaguers, Maverick Bork, guys like that. I have a guy here that I work with. I have a show here at UNT, and the guy that helps kind of run things there, like their sports guy, he's a huge Stars and hockey fan. So me and him talk all the time. He's told me, can't remember all the names, but like, not only we're kind of like the Rangers right now. Not only do we have a great team at the professional team level, but our minor leagues teams and our prospects are full with great players.
And this has been years in the making because they have not drafted the way I thought they should have. They've picked a lot of people up on trades and stuff, and so they've given away a lot of draft picks.
Right.
As of, I'm talking like 5 years ago. Okay. Mm-hmm. So those draft picks that they gave up, they've lost that depth in their roster that they're finally getting back, and I'm so happy to see that they've done this. Dallas is not a Chicago team. It's not the one that can pay the most to have the star players and just win every other year.
Right. And I think, bringing in, I think you said, several years ago, they traded for, Sagan and Ben, and they became their cornerstones. Or was Ben a draft pick? Am I wrong on that?
No, we traded for him.
We traded for Ben? Okay.
Yeah.
And then they signed Pavelski, but now in the same draft, I believe it was in the same draft, we drafted both Jason Robertson and Jake Ottinger. in the same draft. And it's like you were talking about, using our draft picks. Jim Nill, our GM, deserves a ton of credit for using the draft picks he has very well. And, Ottinger, who's just an outstanding goalie, and Robo, who broke Mike Modano, who's quite possibly the greatest American-born player of all time. If not, he's up there. Broke his, stars record for, I think, points in a season.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, goalies is where they have screwed the pooch for years. They have never gotten a goalie that was worth his salt until Ottinger.
So we had, Anton Hudobin. He had a great run in the bubble. And before that, I cannot remember his name. I thought he was Ben Bishop. That's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, but see, they let him go.
And he couldn't.
They would let him go. Well, but look at what Bishop's done after he left Dallas.
Yeah.
And Jay, what was the other guy that left Dallas?
Yeah, I don't know.
Alexiak? No. Oh no, Rope's still here. Klingberg.
No, the goalie.
Oh,
Klingberg was. It was
Hudobin? Anton Hudobin.
No.
You are asking the wrong guy about hockey.
Other than Bishop, Hudobin, and Ottinger, I can't name any other goalies.
Niemi. Anthony Niemi.
Nope, I don't know that name.
So he's the one that we had. Oh God, 2019, 2020, something like that, and they pinned all their hopes on him, and he was always a backup goalie. He was never the greatest. Bounced around from team to team to team, and I think he was at. I want to say that he was in Arizona when he came back to Texas, and he wasn't what he should have been, and he's the reason that they lost in the playoffs because they could not get any goaltending.
No, but I think the biggest change for the Stars this year has been the fact that Rick Bowness, who's a great coach, fantastic coach. The problem with him is he can't get an efficient offense. I think he went to Winnipeg, and Winnipeg was in the playoffs and a great defense, but they lost all their games 2-1, 1-0. They couldn't score, and it was the same problem we had. He coached us in that great bubble run. Other than the bubble run, the last couple of years, he has not been a great coach because he's been able to coach us to the playoffs, but never really been able to do anything because we couldn't score. Then they brought in DeBoer, and we have a great team.
Well, but they pretty much cleared the coaching bench, didn't they?
Yeah, because this is still largely the same team from last season that got knocked out by Calgary in the first round, except for Wyatt Johnston. And Robo was here last year. He wasn't this good last season, but most of the contributors, and obviously excluding Dodonov and Domi, who were the trade deadline acquisitions. This is still largely the same team from last season. They just upgrading the coaching really, really helped.
Oh yeah, absolutely. These kids, I call them kids because they're kids to me, but these kids have been on this team, most of them for several seasons,
right.
And their coaching has been subpar to say the very least. I still am not sold on. I like Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, whatever you want to call him. Seguin. I've always called him Tyler Seguin. It must be a Texas thing, like you said. But their coaching has always been terrible.
Well, yeah,
they didn't have any, and their coaching was terrible. But now they actually have the players. They've had the players for several years. They got the goalies sorted out, 2-3 years ago, and looks to be that they've got their coaching kind of sorted out. But I think the Bears doing a great job this season. I mean, they were
47,
second.
40, 47, 21, and 14. Had a hell of a record this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, that's, and then like we're talking about, the coaching has really improved, and it being all just team. But Sagan, Ben, and Pavelski, who are 3 big veterans, they've been trying to find. Oh, you got to be kidding me! Oh crap! Well, that's fun. I'm not going to watch it because I was hoping it'd be on Bally, but it's not. And Fubo doesn't have the Fubo doesn't have the Turner channel, so TBS and TNT are not on Fubo right now.
That game is on TNT.
Yep. I don't get that. Well, it sucks.
So they were 8th overall in the season, but they were. I want to say they were second in the standings.
I think we're the 3 seed, because I think the Knights were the 1 and Colorado was the 2. I believe we were the 3. But obviously, with Colorado being out, we're now the 2nd highest seed, and if the Knights can hopefully get knocked out by Edmonton, we'd be the top seed.
I will say that I think it's for Edmonton to actually.
Dallas came in as the 2 seed.
Was the 2? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was not sure. But Ben and Sagan and Pavelski's obviously been pretty good for this year, but Sagan and Ben have had pretty good years, and Sagan's turned it on in the playoffs, and which was really big in Pavelski's absence with that dirty hit by Dumba that I was really pissed they didn't call a 5-minute penalty on. Can't remember who hit him on Dumba. They did, they made it a 2-minute, it was so stupid. And then Sagan had a couple really, really great games for Dallas that kind of helped replace Pavelski's production in his line.
Yeah.
But Rope's gone off. Domi, it's been a very good collective effort from the entire team.
Oh yeah, I think Dallas is going to move on. I mean, I just don't see.
We just got to take care of business against Seattle. That's the big one. Is right now, obviously game 1 we did not take care of business. Ottinger had his worst game of the playoffs.
Yeah, but it was, come on, it was.
Need to add further stuff.
It was overtime. So I mean, it's not like they just screwed the whole pooch. I mean, they fought, and they fought hard. And overtime, you can get a lucky bounce. Not that it was, but
Well, yeah, and we came back from a game 1 over triple overtime loss, whatever it was against Minnesota. That really long game. It would never end, I thought. It's just you just hope the Kraken don't go on one of these runs where they're playing with house money. They don't really care. I mean, it's just kind of like, why don't we just go out there and see what we can do? And for a second-year team, there can't be any expectations. So they get to have that luxury of being, well, if we win, awesome. If we don't, we were a playoff team. We can build on that. The Stars actually have expectations, and if they lose, you know what I mean? It's just.
Well, we don't have long before that game starts, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. That way we can watch. Panthers Maple Leafs are 3-2 with 5 minutes to go in the third. And let's see, because I am, bowling is my thing here. We got the Players Champion going on. That is EJ Tackett is having an insane season for the PBA.
I haven't been able to keep up with the PBAs, so he's having a good year.
He has won 2 or 3 championships this year. Yeah, I think he's won 2 or 3 different championships so far this season. He won his 20th career title, I think, last week at the Cheetah Championship, which will always be my favorite oil pattern to bowl on. Well, wrong button. I mean, he's currently up he's up almost 170 pins on the next person to him.
Well, Taggart's a great bowler.
Yeah, Tackett is killing it. Chris Vi, Butteruff. You know, I am still impressed as hell at that man's longevity. He has been bowling forever. Simo's having a pretty decent year.
It's Simo.
And it looks like, oh, good. Aussie, two-handed. Wow.
Wait. Belmonte?
Belmonte is just not having a great year.
Sorry, I couldn't tell if you said Aussie or Aussie. I assume you said Aussie.
Yes.
No, the Australian, yeah.
Yes.
Belmo, yeah, he hasn't been that good in a couple years, if my memory has served me correct.
Well, he was kind of stuck due to the COVID lockdowns in Australia.
Oh, that's true. And of course, he pioneered a bowling style. And again, I'm hoping he popularized. He
made it more popular and more common.
He made it mainstream to be a two-handed bowler, which, but so then when everybody started doing it, he lost that competitive advantage that he potentially had as a two-handed. Now everyone's doing it. They've all, caught up to your secrets.
Well, I think a lot of it in his case is not being able to travel, stuck at one center. And of course, on top of that, he was designing his own equipment. I more so think his fall off isn't competition catching up to him. I think it's him not putting in as much work as he used to. And that's what happens with time. You just don't have the time.
Well, and I hope he does not go the broadcasting route, because the couple times I've seen him be a broadcaster, he looks so pissed that he's doing that instead of bowling. It affects his work.
You know what, Gilroy? I will show you how you bowl three-handed, because this dude is fantastic. And you know what? I got to give him a ton of credit. He seems like a genuinely super nice guy.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to show a couple of shots off of. This is his YouTube channel. Yeah, so this is his YouTube channel. I'm going to pull. I'll show this off of.
You'll be able to tell me this. Is Chris Barnes? Did Chris Barnes go to the senior tour? Is he old enough, or is he still on the PBA tour?
Chris Barnes is on the senior tour.
Okay.
He's just not as active. I do believe he's participating in a pro-am over the summer. I know Chris Vi is going to be at that pro-am.
Yeah,
I'm not saying where, because I'm not giving out our exact location. But
because
which bowling alley I'm talking about.
Yeah, because Barnes is going to be there.
I believe so. I haven't seen the full list. All right.
Barnes is my bowling guy. He's my favorite bowler of all time. He's who I modeled a little bit of my shot, because he's a big guy like me, very tall, broad-shouldered. So I try to, obviously I don't hook the ball as much as he does, but Barnes was my favorite growing up, and I've always liked him. With Pete Weber being my second favorite of all time. I love PDW.
That is a horrible angle. Give me 1 second here. There we go. Oh, man. I love this competition. I love this competition. I love this general idea by the PBA. How many strikes can you throw in 90 seconds?
Oh, like
And here you go,
the home run
Gilroy.
derby, the home run derby version, but in bowling.
Yes,
that's cool.
This is how you bowl two-handed.
Is there anyone on the tour that bowls with his thumb in two-handed? I know that's not very common.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if you want to be honest about it, two-handed bowling is... Oh, that's the wrong button. Sorry, 1 second here. Two-handed bowling is not a new idea by any means.
No.
I can tell you there were guys that were one-handed, two fingers, no thumb, bowling with me in the 90s. I am sure it goes back further than that. I think personally the addition of the second hand was kind of the natural evolution of it. It was the best way to give those guys that extra control of the ball during the swing and lets them add more power because they're not as concerned with, oh crap, I'm going to drop the ball. I do see two-handed bowlers getting a lot of hate throughout the bowling community. Personally, I don't understand it.
I think it's a lot of old men yelling at clouds type of stuff, where it's, the old generation in almost every sport doesn't, and it's so prevalent in baseball, and it angers me. And it's obviously prevalent in bowling. It's that, any type of change that's different than what they did, it's wrong and stupid and, ruins the integrity of the sport. It's just like, maybe some people can't do it one-handed, two-handed, maybe they don't have the strength, maybe they don't have this or the control or whatever, and it helps them bowl. I think it's great.
Move out of the way, old man. And don't get me wrong, there is no argument that I am an old man here.
You got the insinuation.
Oh, hell yeah. I look at it this way, though. You don't like it, beat them.
Yeah.
I do think that there are more 300 games today than there have ever been. And it is getting harder for the top of the top to separate themselves because I believe the game has gotten honestly easier as technology has advanced. But you've also seen a change in strategy.
Do you think a counter to some of it could be the PBA reevaluating their oil patterns, or maybe even the oil they use, or something in that department to try and make it more difficult?
I think the only way they are going to be able to make the sport more difficult is going to be instituting a ball limit. That is the only way they're going to go back to make it a more challenging event, is to limit the amount of balls you can have. You could even go as far to go solid versus hybrid versus pearls.
Right.
But I have definitely noticed you see a lot more people roll up to these tournaments with the same ball drilled multiple ways, or they're rolling up with 20, 30 balls, and they're not changing lines. They're changing balls and nothing more. They're throwing the exact same shot every time, which is okay. I mean, if it works, it works. You can't if it works, it's not stupid. It works. Some of these guys are amazingly consistent at it.
Well, yeah, there's something to be said for, obviously, one of the problems I have when I bowl is being able to consistently hit my mark. So there definitely is something to be said for being able to hit your mark every single shot. And I think that actually, it's kind of these guys going, what's easier? Learning how to, hit different marks, or just, I'm going to consistently hit this one mark and change my bowling ball depending on how it's reacting, than saying, okay, I'm going to use this ball, but I'm going to change where I shoot, because there's definitely more trial and error with trying to find different, lines than there is just changing a ball and throwing the exact same shot.
Well, and again, if you look at somebody like Norm Duke, who to me is the greatest of all time, unless you want to, arguably him or Walter Ray. But
I think there's more. I think maybe Earl Anthony could get in the conversation
as well, yeah.
And
but if
maybe Weber, but that'd be more him saying it.
If you look at Norm Duke and watch his older tournaments, I mean, that dude was bowling tournaments in black and white.
Yeah.
I exaggerate a little. He did start his pro career in the 80s, but that man could move his hand half an inch and change the rotation of the ball instead of changing balls. The oil, you're limited. You are very limited on what you can do on the oil that can't be figured out, or wouldn't just be, this is not playable after a certain point.
Right.
It's going to break down too much, or it's going to be too much oil to be a playable pattern. But you could start to introduce tournaments that are literally, here's the oil pattern. Let's throw out Cheetah, for instance. Again, my personal favorite pattern. All right, you are limited to nothing but pearl balls. Or hell, you're nothing but urethane, nothing but solids, nothing but hybrids, nothing but asymmetrical versus symmetrical.
I actually think what you could do is just say, okay, you get 3 bowling balls, and that's it. And I'm saying 3 because you'd have to, most guys would use one of those slots for their spare ball. So then, therefore, you get 2 bowling balls. Figure out which one you want, and we'll let you know the oil pattern. You can research the oil pattern all you want. Pick the 2 balls you like and work with that. And then obviously your spare ball. Unless you want to just go 3 balls and not keep a spare ball, which obviously adds more thinking involved. Maybe not 3, but you get a limit. I'm not limiting.
I think the problem with that is it depends. A 3-ball bag should be more than enough for a house shot 3-game series. Even on a sports shot, you should be able to adjust enough to make a 3-ball bag last a 3-game series.
Yeah.
But you got to keep in mind, we typically see on TV the finals. We see the one-on-one. We don't see that these guys bowled 30, 40, 60 games of qualifying. And they're bowling 9 games a day. And they're not re-oiling every 3 games.
Really?
I could no.
So there's not any oil by the time they're done, basically.
I could say 6. But I could say they absolutely that's probably the next step to take in making it a bigger challenge for the players, would be to start limiting the amount of equipment they can use.
Right. I think that, it's just, you want to make it more difficult, so therefore it's more interesting.
Oh, yeah, Chris, so I don't have my camera on at the moment because I've reorganized my office and it is a mess. I have, let's see, hold on. Sitting in my office right now.
Say, what's your ball total up to?
2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 22 balls in my office right now.
I hear beans. I'm sorry.
You do hear the beans.
I heard beans. I just heard in the background.
Beans has made plenty of appearances on camera. So is Droopy.
Beans is joining the show.
To be fair, 4 to 6 of those are actually Seth's, not mine.
I was gonna say I think his bowling stuff's there, but also how many of that's actually usable? Because I know you have your 5-finger quantum. I don't think that's league regulated. I don't think that's.
Yes,
is it?
It is.
So you could use your 5-finger quantum in a PBA tournament.
I could absolutely use that in a tournament. The rule
That's
states
funny.
any finger or any hole the ball has must be for a finger on one hand. That's why two-handers don't. That's why you haven't seen a two-hander with like 4 holes. So they can't.
Because they can't. Yeah.
Yeah. So they can't double grip.
It's only one hand. Okay, that makes sense. I think
It is that.
My ball total is I use a 3-ball bag. That's so I only take 3. But if you want to count the ones I have in my possession, I believe I have 5. I think I have 2 more. Obviously I have my pyramid curse, and then my I think my European version of the pyramid curse, the pyramid, it was the red and black one.
Well, I have a pyramid that got loaned to somebody and never returned to me. Oof. I gave away the Jackal Ghost, which $180 retail plus drilling, and I gave that ball away. Huh. To be fair, that ball did better for my buddy Trevor than it ever did for me. Like, it upped his average. He went and bought like 3 or 4 balls after that and still goes back to that one.
I see my use. I use the Motive Venom Fatal, the green and gray one, or green and silver.
I have heard, yeah, everybody I know that has thrown that loves that.
I got it from, you remember Dakota, his dad. That's he threw it, and I threw his a couple times. I was like, I really like this, and I'll say that's my primary because it's what I'll use for games 2 and 3 because it's better on a drier pattern. But my starter ball is the Storm High Road, the first one, the one that like it's navy blue, smells like blueberries, which is really fun.
I gave away two of the Global 900 Zens. I bought and gave away 2 of them.
Dang.
What is that thing? The Proton Physics. I have bought 2 of those. I bought the first one. The night I bought that damn ball, Lance shot 295 with it. I never got it back. 296, I think.
If I shot 296, I'd want to keep that ball too.
I never got it back. So you know what? I bought a second one, which I do have.
Where do you get yours drilled at?
I can message you that. You can actually ask Seth where I get my stuff drilled. I do not go to one of the pro shops. I do go to a local pro.
Okay. Because I went to the pro shop to get my high road because the first 2, my plastic, my spare ball and my Venom, the drilling got screwed up, so I stopped going to the place where I was going. And I went to I forget his name. I think it was like Chris Murray or something like that. And I think he's at the bowling alley, I think in Plano. And I went and got my high road drilled, and he did a fantastic job with it.
I have been told by a lot of people he is the pro in Dallas to go to.
It's Chris something. I can't remember his last name.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
At the Plano.
Yeah.
I am personally, I use the guy who used to own our local pro shop. He still has all. Yeah, he still has all of his equipment.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he does all my stuff, and it is the best fit and feel I've got.
Well, yeah, because and you know this because you bowl with me. My Venom got messed up, so like part of the thumb hole is like got more of it got shaved off than it was supposed to, and so I actually you're not supposed to do this, but I actually have to curl my thumb inside my Venom, or else it will fall off my thumb.
And I will go ahead. I will turn on the random camera here because
Beans is making an appearance on the Beans is just sitting up there. He's just help. Nope, and now he jumps down. You turn the camera on and Beans just runs. He says, "Nope, nope." There he is.
We are horribly washed out tonight. Yeah, that's why my camera's off. I have to fix my lighting. Yeah, so now let's get to the topic we've been wanting to talk about.
Oh,
It's the last topic we got for the night
football.
Is football. Yeah. So
So
yeah,
I will go
Gilroy,
ahead
he is.
and I'll go ahead and preface this by saying when it comes to football, I do more work than probably anybody I know for the NFL draft. I did 118 players scouted this year, with probably 50 more that I knew about and watched in college football last season, because it pays to watch it. I like college football now. I really do love it, but it also helps to watch. And like guys like Deuce Vaughn, who the Cowboys drafted, didn't need to watch film on him because I'd watched so many Kansas State games, being down here in Texas and being in a Big 12 place, watching Kansas State. But the draft is my absolute favorite thing to cover in all sports. Number one, I love baseball, I love football, but it's specific thing in sports, the NFL draft is my absolute favorite thing to cover. And you can actually get an access to I did draft guides for each position, and my big board is on my Twitter, and it's the pinned tweet. So if you'd like to see my write-ups on those 118 players, but now we can get into as I move this, so I can get to my thing here. Draft grades, grading each team's draft.
I have to say, the best moment in the draft to me was Vaughn's dad calling him to go, "You want to come to work with me Monday?"
That was so cool. A great moment.
Yeah, that was amazing that Jerry stepped aside and went, no. You call him and let him know he's our draft pick. I can't imagine what it's like as a parent to be able to make that call to your kid and make that announcement to him. That's got to be fantastic.
So I did NFL draft grades when we'll start, because if we did all 32 teams, we'd be here forever. So we're going to break it up into each division because it's just a lot simpler. And I will start with, since we're Cowboys people, I'll start with the NFC East. And I'll start with the Cowboys. I gave the Cowboys a B+. Not anything special, because if you look at the players, we didn't get too many guys that get me excited, but we pretty much got every position that I thought we would address in the draft. D tackle, tight end, offensive tackle, just offensive line in general, corner, running back, and a receiver. And then obviously with Overshown as a linebacker, edge rusher, safety, hybrid, chess player, dude. It's one of those, you didn't get too many flashy players. In fact, I'd say your flashiest player is either your 3rd round linebacker or your 6th round running back. You filled every positional need you had with your picks. So what did you make of our draft class? Because we talked about the Mozzie Smith pick, but I left when I was talking. We were talking right as the 2nd round was about to start, so we haven't been able to talk about days 2 and 3.
With all draft players, it's 3 a.m. Hey, Gilroy, I really appreciate you coming and hanging out, man. You have a good night. Yeah. I'm sure I'll see you later in the week or over the weekend and stuff.
Oh yeah, he's over in UK. So yeah, 3 a.m. Dang.
Yep. Yeah, that's they're a little bit ahead. I will say, I am disappointed with our lack of help for the offensive line.
I haven't been able to, study wise, I wasn't able to get to Fehoko and Richards. And I've heard that his pronunciation is actually awesome. His name is Awesome Richards, which is kind of cool. Not a seam or anything like that, but with Richards, I'm planning on this weekend doing a study of his tape to see what I can make of him. What I've heard from the offensive line coach and other people, that he's a guy that, and I forgot about this when we were talking about offensive line. We did sign Chuma Edoga in the offseason to be a guard tackle, positional flex player who was pretty good with the Jets, I believe, last season. And has been decent in his career. But Richards gives you kind of another one of those flexible, can play tackle, can play guard type of guys. And so your backups aren't horrible. You're just kind of hoping and praying that your guys don't get injured too much.
Which, unfortunately for us, I don't know the last season we didn't lose an offensive lineman for 2 to 3 games.
I can say is 2016, I think, is the last season I can vividly remember we did not lose offensive linemen.
I am really excited about our first 3-round picks.
I can't agree more. I mean, and I know most people have been kind of crapping on it, but look, you filled needs. You did need a third tight end, and Schoonmaker. Well, I'm gonna watch him too this week. I'm gonna watch the guy that didn't watch him, Fehoko and Richards. But Schoonmaker, from the thing that I've heard, fits what the Cowboys want to do on offense. Isn't a flashy gonna start over Ferguson and Hendershot right away, but now you have, instead of one good tight end and 2 or 3 decent ones, you now have 3 pretty good tight ends that are kind of interchangeable. Although I think Schoonmaker probably is the best blocker now, from what I've heard, because of how Michigan plays.
Michigan's a run-first team.
Yeah, so that obviously that is something that Mike McCarthy has talked about wanting to be. And then Mozzie, we talked about him. The one bad thing about your defense last season, the one besides injuries decimating your corner position, was your run defense. And you trade for Hankins, who's going to be back this year. But when he was injured, you did not have anybody that could stop the run up the middle. Now you have Mozzie, who can plug those gaps, keep linebackers free. And from things that I've heard, he could offer some pass rush upside more than he had in college, because they think maybe something with his stance, they could change it. He could get maybe even more explosive and be able to pass rush better. But I'm excited about Mozzie. I was high on him coming into the draft, and I was very excited when we drafted him. And then Overshown is kind of like Micah, but I don't know if he offers the edge rush versatility, because they've talked about wanting to bulk him up and play him an edge rusher.
To be fair, there's not a player in the NFL that can really compare to Micah Parsons.
No, and I actually think Overshown is actually pretty dang close, because he came into Texas as a safety, moved to linebacker, and so he can play all 3 levels. He can play safety, kind of that big linebacker safety, big box, strong safety. And then he can also rush the passer. I like him as a designated blitzer. So to start, someone who you bring in, they know he's coming, but the question is, okay, he's coming, but can you block him?
Yep.
And so
at some point, something's got to give.
Yeah.
You can't have a guy grabbing Micah around his neck every damn play.
That pissed me off. But I think Mozzie also gives you that. He helps out the best player on your football team. In that, Now Micah is a little bit more free and is more free on running plays, and it's just somebody else you have to worry about rushing up the middle. Yep. There was a reason why they put Osa Odigizua on the same side as Micah. Typically, if you look at our fronts, because Osa is a good pass rushing 3 technique, not as big, so he's not great against the run because he doesn't have that lower body strength or that body thickness that Mozzie or Hankins would have. But they wanted someone who could take the pass rush, help with Micah. But Mozzie now, man, gives you just a big, nasty 1 tech that can. I honestly think he could be a really great player.
Yeah. And I don't hate the tight end pick. I personally didn't think tight end was a big enough need to waste a 2nd-round draft pick on it. But, it is what it is. We, in Will McClay, we trust.
What the Schoonmaker pick feels like to me is not so much he was such a great player, but so much they wanted to make sure they got a tight end. And they just kind of went, well, we need to get one of these guys. And I don't know if they're going to be on the board at 90, any of the ones that we would like. So I think it was a necessary reach. That's what I'm going to call it.
I think McKeon and Hendershot specifically overperformed as undrafted players. So I understand it. Again, I personally wouldn't have taken a tight end that high, but it is what it is. We have to trust in Will McClay.
We do. And Hendershot was someone I liked coming out of Indiana. So I think he actually has, I had draftable grades on him. I think he's a good potential player. He just, being an undrafted free agent makes it seem like, but yeah, like you said, in Will McClay we trust.
Well, why don't you give a rundown on the division itself and the other divisions, and then we will wrap up and call it a night.
Well, we'll go to the Giants because I'm doing them in alphabetical here because that's how the grades are brought up here on where I'm getting which players. And I gave the Giants I gave the Giants an A-. Crap. I cannot remember. There's too many. 32 teams. Can't remember who everyone drafted. Yeah, here we go. Was a huge fan. They get the nice grade for their first 3 picks being all potential home runs. Deontay Banks is a great player coming out of Maryland, and he fills a corner need, just makes that defense even better. John Michael Schmitz, who they got in the second round, outstanding center. Definitely going to help with that offensive line. And Jalen Hyatt was someone who I had almost in the first round, and they got him at 73. So 3 awesome players with their first 3 picks. And their day 3 picks were okay. Eric Gray's pretty good. And I actually like Javarius Owens from Houston. But their first 3 picks were really, really good and all filled a need. They needed a receiver. And
the problem with the Giants here is, you know what they need more than a receiver?
If you say a quarterback, I'm going to laugh.
I was going to say a quarterback who didn't have a wet noodle for an arm. But to be fair, Daniel Jones' arm isn't that bad. Their offensive line is hot garbage.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
what
quarterback doesn't have an opportunity to succeed. So Jones may be the quarterback you need. The receiver isn't going to help if he's scrambling around like a chicken with its head cut off.
Right.
Because his offensive line can't stop Micah Parsons, Tank Lawrence, and everybody else from plowing over them.
Or those guys that Philadelphia has.
That's what else I was going to add was you got the Cowboys twice a year, and then you have the Eagles pass rush twice a year.
Oh, and the Commanders have how many first-round players in their defensive line? So all 3 of your division opponents have great defensive fronts. So hence because they have their bookend tackles of the next 6-7 years. Andrew Thomas has finally come into his own as a player. It took him long enough. I think Evan Neal had a decent year for a rookie, and also because he did not play right tackle in college, he was a left tackle. There is a bit of a learning curve with that. And so I think Evan Neal can be a great tackle. So you have your tackles, but they never had stability in their guard or center. I think Schmitz gives you great stability and gives you a potential Pro Bowl starter. Like I think he's better than Tyler Biadasz, to give you a reference. My player comp for him was actually, and Patriots fans will like this one. My player comp for him was David Andrews. So I and then obviously Hyatt gives you they had a desperate need at receiver because they were scrounging for receivers towards the end of last year because of their injuries. And Kenny Golladay is probably the biggest free agent bust of my life so far. I don't think that's too hot of a take to have.
Oh, if that's the worst one of your life so far, bud, count yourself lucky. Oh, I have seen so many worse.
Well, yeah, but you're old, so
you're not wrong. You are absolutely not wrong.
Yeah, but you see, I can say that, but if I said that to my dad, who's a decade older than you, he'd just laugh.
Yeah. There's a running joke. I am older than dirt.
Yes. But the Giants addressed, I think, huge positions of need in the draft, and I like it. It pains me to talk good about my division rivals. The reason the Giants don't scare me, I think, is just because I've never seen Daniel Jones be successful, and I don't also think Brian Dable is their quarterback. It just happens to be that Jones is the one actually enacting what he's telling him to do.
And again, I think the Giants did get better.
Oh, they did, definitely.
But their weakness is still at the same point. You can improve your position players, but that means nothing when your weakness is still on your offensive line and at your quarterback. It doesn't matter how great your receivers are if the quarterback is on his ass 10 times a game.
And I think Schmitz stabilizes your center. I don't know who their guards are. And I actually think they lost Will Hernandez. So I don't know how stable their guard position is. But and it's not that I'm not impressed by Daniel Jones. It's simply I don't think Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback. I saw him for how many years? Was he mediocre? And then they hire one of the next kind of quarterback whisperers and in Brian Daboll, and he comes in and the Giants are a playoff team. And Daniel Jones gets a nice big extension. I don't think it's Daniel Jones. I think it's got. I mean, it's Daboll. He's a great, fantastic coach, and has elevated Daniel Jones from mediocrity to potential Pro Bowler. But I still don't think. But of course, you still see those Daniel Jones mistakes, like the Monday Night Football game Week 3 last year against us, when he threw the ball and Diggs had the game-sealing interception. He still makes those Daniel Jones decisions. It's just one of those. They're a team I'm curious if they could stay healthy. They're not the last 3 or 4 years they've been a write-off game. It's the Giants. We'll win this one. If they stay healthy, they're not a write-off game, but I still say we're the third best team in the conference. So I still think we're better than the Giants, but they did get a lot better. And we'll move on to the probably the best draft over the weekend. And it pains me. Oh, it pains me to say this, but the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh my gosh.
I know. I hate the Eagles with a bloody passion. But they easily have the best. They have the best general manager in the NFL right now.
The problem is I don't think it was. I don't care who your GM is, but when all of these players fall to you, anyone could pick them that has a brain.
Oh, I know. Oh, and some of it
got
too.
Lucky.
Some of the trades and moves they've made, it's like, what? Why? Why are you just giving them players?
This draft, I am convinced it wasn't so much he was a smart, savvy GM, because usually the smart, savvy ones, you don't praise them the week after the draft. You're praising them 5 years down the road when they found those gems. So that's what I'm like, okay, quit praising Roseman for the draft when anyone at this point could have a great draft or not have a great draft. It'll be judged in 3 or 4 years. But so far, it's so much so they got lucky in the fact that they had a lot of players fall to them. Carter fell to them, and I mean, they did trade up, but Carter fell to them. Nolan Smith, who I have to admit was not as high on as the industry was. I had him in the second round. Most people had him in like the mid first, mostly because I think he's a poor man's Micah Parsons, and emphasis on the poor man's. But he's got a lot of potential. And Tyler Steen was a great pick. And then they got Kaylee Ringo in the 4th. I had a second round grade on him. And then Moro Ojomo, the Texas D tackle, they got him almost with the last pick of the draft at 249. I think I had him at 101 on my board. I had him in the back end of the 3rd round. And he went the back end of the 7th. So they had, 5 outstanding picks. And Sidney Brown was a bit of a reach. And Tanner McKee is a quarterback that reminds me a lot of Cooper Rush in that he's not outstanding, but he can win you football games if you need him to.
Well, the Eagles have pretty much survived on that. They did just give a $255 million contract to a player who has had less than 10 good games in his career.
What baffles me about Hurts, and I think the guy, there's definitely potential there. What worries me is one of those, did you not learn your lesson with Carson Wentz, who had a great season, and then you paid him and then fell off a cliff? And to even point out more similarities, What happened when Carson Wentz after that season? What happened? Oh, you remind me. Oh, that's right. Frank Reich, their OC, left. What happened this season? Shane Steichen left, their OC. So it's just like, did you not learn your lesson with Wentz? It's one of those, they're either going to have history repeats itself, or Hurts is going to become the guy that I know a lot of people believe he can become, and live up to that contract. But what baffles me about the McKee pick is he is nothing like Hurts. He's a tall, not a big arm, but tall, pretty accurate game managing quarterback. He cannot run. And you're going to have him be the backup to one of the top mobile quarterbacks in the league. It just feels weird. It just feels weird. It's a clash in quarterback style.
We've had this discussion about the whole mobile quarterback and their longevity in the NFL. We can have that on another night. But it's not necessarily a bad move for the future if you're investing more in the offensive line that the Cowboys built for Dak his first 2 years.
And they're building
which
that right
was actually designed which was designed for Tony Romo, of we're going to give our quarterback all day long to sit in that pocket. You are never going to get to him. If that's what you're going for, then he's a good pick.
Yeah, and the Eagles have one of the league's best offensive lines. And they added to that with Tyler Steen, who is kind of one of those guard tackle guys from Bama. And obviously they have already a complete offensive line. Steen's kind of a guy that I think could start if injuries happen, but great offensive line. Excuse me. And obviously a great defense. But they also have I would actually argue the two most hated coaches in the league are both on their staff. Not only is Nick Sirianni their head coach, who is so unlikable, he fits Philadelphia because he's a douchebag. But also, they have expatriate great coach and ex-Lions, Matt Patricia, who is just one of those, like, are you just trying to hire the maybe not the worst coaches, but are you just trying to hire the worst people? Like go ahead and resurrect Buddy Ryan. And because, I know people hated him here in Dallas because of the stuff he did in Philly. Go ahead, I mean, like, it doesn't, I mean, it makes me laugh because then Darius Slay isn't going to like it because Patricia's back on their staff and he hates Matt Patricia for good reason. And Patricia's not just a very good dude. And,
well, let's be real. Let's look at the history of the NFL and just go ahead and accept the fact that the league and the teams do not give one shit about the quality of the people they're hiring. No. Browns. Cleveland fucking Browns. If the league or owners or a team thinks that person is going to win them games, they do not care how horrible of a human being that person might be.
Something that my dad always told me, and I always tell Seth, is flags fly forever. And people may not remember who was on the team as much, or what that guy did. But if you can call yourself a champion, it will kind of blind the public a little bit to your off the field actions.
And that applies in a lot of facets of life. I mean, Let's be real.
Winning cures everything. Another thing he always told me was winning cures everything.
Yep. And should it? No.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of facets of life and a lot of celebrities we have out there that have done a lot of horrible things.
Yeah.
And really should not be acknowledged in any way because of the things they've done. But hey, you know what? If Floyd Mayweather weren't Floyd Mayweather, he'd be in prison for what he did.
And see, to me, the first thing that comes to mind with celebrities, and that is O.J. Simpson. It's the first thing that comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
And his is more of a
normal
weird
person
case
couldn't.
of and his is more of a weird case of he was acquitted, but everyone knows he didn't. It's one of those scenarios. But I think Philly, I mean Sirianni, it makes it so easy to do. At least with the Astros, I love Dusty Baker. I think he's a really good dude, great baseball guy. So Dusty Baker makes it it made it a little bit easier to watch them win last year, watching Dusty win one. But the Eagles having Sirianni just makes it so, and Patricia, make it so easy to hate them. So easy. Not just for Cowboys fans, for other fans to hate them.
Their fan base makes it easy to hate Philadelphia.
I don't like Philadelphia. I just don't. They're not. At least Boston fans have somewhat of an endearment in their love of their teams, right? At least that there's some, Boston fans are not the nicest people in the world either, but at least when I think of Boston fans, I think of passion and love, unwavering love of their teams. Philadelphia, I just think, a bunch of hoodlums.
You can be a passionate fan of your team and, not cheer your own quarterback getting hurt or pelt Santa with batteries. You know what? Let's look at Raider Nation.
Oh, yeah. The black hole.
That is a passionate fan base that desperately loves their team.
There's still a lot of those people that made the black hole in Oakland still drive to Las Vegas for the home games.
Yep. And
it's not that bad of a drive, but
you can be a passionate fan of your team without being garbage,
or committing crimes.
Yeah, you do not want to know what happens to the crime rate in Arlington anytime Philly plays there.
Philadelphia, but I have to give their draft an A+. Adding Jalen Carter, who is the second best player in the draft for me, and adding so much talent to the NFC champions. With the Cowboys adding Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore, and bringing back Wilson, and bringing back Hankins, and bringing back Van Der Esch, and bringing back Steele, and bringing back all of the guys we did, I really felt like we had overtaken the Eagles as, on paper, the best team in the division, and possibly the best team in the conference, possibly. But with the Eagles draft, unfortunately, they overtook us, and I would probably say that the reason I may put us over the Niners only is because of their quarterback situation, but they've beaten us 2 years with the same quarterback situation. So it's hard for me to, it's kind of one of those, I think we're better on paper, but because they've beaten us 2 years in a row, I can't put us above them.
I will say, I think the Cowboys Eagles are about a 50-50 split right now. And it comes down to, as much as people like to tout it and claim it, the Cowboys had the best defense in the NFL last year. By every single metric, the Eagles' defense was overly weighted by the fact that they had the easiest schedule in the NFL for the first 8 weeks of the season.
And they had the most sacks, which makes people think they had the best defense.
Yeah, they played the easiest schedule in the NFL. And yeah, they had the most sacks. No team in NFL history has ever gone 10 games without an offensive holding called against their opponent until the Cowboys this year. No, the Cowboys didn't stop getting sacks. The opponents were allowed to blatantly hold the Cowboys defense. And it started shortly after Jerry Jones decided to dress up as a blind referee. Funny? Yes. Stupid?
Yes.
also yes. Hilarious. Hilarious. But not a smart move in the middle of a season.
No. And I think I'm trying to think what I wanted. The Eagles, I think we have superior coaching. Helps. I think we have some of the best coaching. I think McCarthy is doing some of his best coaching work now than he did with Green Bay, with the exception of the Super Bowl season. And obviously our defensive staff is loaded with Dan Quinn and, I'm forgetting his name. It's Joe Witt, passing game coordinator, and add 30 defense. Just a stacked defensive coaching group.
I still think our weakness on our coaching staff is our offensive coordinator. I told you, Kellen Moore is that kid playing Madden with Madden's all-time playbook, flipping through pages and picking random shit. He's got a great playbook, but his ability to call it in the situation is bad. Again, we can go more in depth on this on another night. We still have one more team in the division.
Yeah. The Commanders, I gave them, I think, the weakest grade. I gave them a C+. I was not impressed, and it has nothing to do with the team. I was not impressed with their draft haul. Emmanuel Forbes, he's a really good player, a damn good football player, tough, good tackler, physical, but he's 166 pounds, and I worry how that will translate to the NFL, and they picked him in the first round. Jartavius Martin, love that pick. He was one of my pet cats coming into this year's draft. I was a huge fan of Martin. Ball hawking safety. But then the rest of the draft, Ricky Stromberg, that's okay. I did like Braden Daniels. KJ Henry was a good pick. Rodriguez and Jones were okay. Rodriguez I liked because when I was watching the tape on Will Levis, and he's from Kentucky, the same school that Rodriguez is from. He's a running back. They'd show some of the running plays, and Rodriguez caught my eye. But it really just, I think, because of the fact that I think their first round pick has so many question marks about how successful he can be in the NFL, I give it a C+. I don't think they filled a ton of needs. It's the Commanders. They're a really weird team this year, going in with like Sam Howell as their starter. But yep, C+. I think the best draft was the Eagles. They obviously got better, but I still think the pecking order in the division is the Eagles, then Dallas, then the Giants, then Washington, the same way it was last year. And I'm curious. Yeah. I'm curious because this year the Eagles don't have that nice, beautiful schedule that the Cowboys kind of had some of it, but not a ton because we had to play the Rams. I think that was one of our and the Bengals. And, some other really good teams. This year, the division that we play is actually the AFC East, Patriots, Jets, Dolphins, Bills. And those are all 4 really good teams. And so I'm curious to see what the Eagles do against those teams, because I think that all 4 of those teams can beat the Eagles. I really, really do. Even the Patriots. But
no.
I really think I think so.
I think the Eagles can beat the Patriots only on coaching alone, not on talent. I think the Eagles are a more talented team.
They are.
But Bill Belichick is miles ahead the better coach in that matchup. I will say,
is miles the right word?
Yeah.
I think we could say Bill Belichick is light years ahead of Nick Sirianni as a coach.
I want to say that I was shocked last year by the Commanders, only because they had a solid defense the year before.
Yeah.
And their defense took a humongous step backwards, but they also had quite a few injuries last year. They still have Chase Young, who is still a beast. And all they did was add to their defense, which, like you said, they didn't seem to really fill the needs where the needs were on that team. And their offense is trash.
They have good weapons, a decent running back group, but their offensive line got decimated. We all remember that game where they not the one at the end of the year where we went and got smacked by them. The one where we smacked them in Dallas, and we sacked Carson Wentz like 4 or 5 times, something like that. 6. It was an absurd number. Their offensive line got destroyed. And so I think their 2 best picks was probably Stromberg and Daniels. And I did love Braden Daniels' film from Utah because he's undersized, only 294 pounds, which I know is kind of funny to say that's undersized. But he moves super fast. He's probably the fastest lineman I scouted this year. The guy gets to the linebackers quick. He's on linebackers before they realize that he's coming, that he's blocking them. And then I love the Martin pick from a player perspective, but it doesn't fill a need. They got Cam Curl. They don't need your first 2 picks were defensive backs, and I felt that was somewhat of a strength of the team.
Yep. Yeah,
I like their coach. I like Rivera.
I do not understand their draft.
Nope. That was why. Good players. I don't understand the positions you got. If it was based on players alone, it'd probably be a B+, A- draft. But because I don't think it filled too many needs, and the question marks around Forbes, that's why I gave it a C+.
Yep, and I agree with you. Well, Brady, it has been fun. We will
This has been great.
Pick this back up next week, and we'll go over what division you want to do next.
I was planning on doing the NFC North because of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. I just think it'd be cool. The Lions had a weird draft, so.
All right, we'll go over that next week.
In
that case, everybody, have a good week. Thanks for joining us. And
thank you.
I'm looking for a button. I have a button. Hold on.
See you guys next week. Bye. See ya. Just keep doing the farewells.
I have buttons. Please hold. Your call is very important to us. Thank you for joining us. Everybody have a good week.